Okay, my name is Joshua Morgan. I'm with Hobbytown, USA in Fresno, California. I run the airsoft department there. I've been doing airsoft for about 10 years, and specialized distribution, or Team SD, the people who distribute the TSD tactical BBs, sent me this M4 to review. So it's let's go ahead and get the box open and see what we got. I've already done a preliminary review of it, put about between 5,000 and 6,000 rounds through it, and it seems to hold up really well. Opening the box, as you can see, we've got the M4A1. We've got a 300 round high cap magazine, and it comes with a standard wall charger and a 8.4 volt battery, 1100 milliamp hour. So we'll go ahead and unbox it. Get this out of the way. Okay, so like I said, standard M4. It's got the standard M4 handguards, got the LE stock, standard handguard, basically your run-of-the-mill M4. Collapsible stock. This particular model comes with the quick detach sling mount, so you can put the sling ring in there and be able to run a single point sling. Semi full auto select. It's got the what the hell's it called? It's got the heatsink motor plate, and that's all I can really say about this at this point. So right now, let's go ahead and do a chrono, see how hard it shoots. And like I said, I've already put about 5,000 or 6,000 rounds through it, so the spring has settled into what it's going to be. So to the chrono test. Okay, so first off, we're going to remove the handguards and the battery. Put off the connector and the fuse assembly. That's connected by these blade type connectors, so all we have to do is disconnect those. The body pins have a screw that's on the other side to keep them in place, which is always really nice. So let's go ahead and remove that. I'll punch these out. And the other one already came out. Okay, so this type, like a lot of others that are out now, just the upper receiver, after removing just the front pin even, will slide off the top. So just really nice. Pull that and off. Now, removing the barrel, as you can see, it's got a one-piece hop-up, all metal, and seems to feed really well during my initial testing. So there's that. Set that aside. So next, just go ahead and continue with the disassembly. Let's see. Backplate. Now, rewiring it to the back, which is usually preferable to a crane stock, the receiver design and the buffer tube design, along with the retaining bolt, are all set to have wires run through it. It's got a groove in the bottom of the buffer tube. I don't know if you can kind of see it right there. It's got the cutout for the wires, and also there's a channel right here for the wires as well. So it's actually, you don't need any real modification to the body or anything else to run it to the back, which is really nice. Makes things a lot easier. Next, remove the magazine catch. At this point, we'll go ahead and remove the motor grip. The motor is just your standard OEM motor, nothing special about it, but it works, and you can't really ask for much more than that for a stock gun. So there's that. Okay, then all that there's left is the receiver center pin, the gearbox pin. Let's see, let's go out the other way. Let's see. And one thing I didn't show you before I started was it has a functioning bolt catch. So in order to get that out, I need to remove this pin. And out comes the gearbox. Alright. So before actually getting into the gearbox, it's got full ball bearings. It's got also, which is nice for disassembling, a little window for the anti-reverse latch. Really easy to trip that now. Not every gearbox has that, but all you have to do is hook something in there and come on. It's always, there we go. And that's that. So that's it. It's a full ball bearing gearbox. Looks like 8mm bearings. Got the window there, and also selector plate without the terminals, so you don't have to worry about the wiring kit connections here. Doesn't even have them. Alright, and so I'm going to take, let's see, I need to go get my Torx. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove the bolt catch assembly. A little screwdriver. Pull that up with the spring. Set that aside. Alright, let's pull the gearbox apart. let's just shut this door. Heck of a time to do a review during a rainstorm. Jeez. Now, one of the things that I would really suggest, I mean, there's nothing wrong with using the torque screws, but I just prefer the Allen type. I think most people will have an Allen type screwdriver more handy than the Torx. Alright, let's crack her open. Now, when I was initially disassembling this, I checked the shimming, and it did require, in my opinion, a couple more shims. There wasn't any shims on the spur gear, and there wasn't any shims on the sector gear. But there was shims on the bevel gear, which actually turned out to be right for that. But I had to add shims to it to get it to have the amount of play that you want. You don't want too much, you don't want too little, and with bearings, it's even more important that you get that right, or else things can happen. Usually you don't want your bearing to blow out. Just your standard spring, just the OEM spring. Pull this out here. Now got your OEM piston with the piston head it comes with. It's nice and ported there. During testing, the only real signs of wear that I saw was on this first tooth right here, which a lot of aftermarket companies just get rid of that tooth anyway because of this problem. But everything seems to be still in order, so you know it hasn't actually broken. There's no other wear on the teeth, which is nice. So that's this is actually holding up pretty well. The gears seem pretty robust. Haven't had any issues, and since I re-shimmed it, there's no abnormal wear to the gears. Nice thick spur gear. No damage, no wear. Wiring kit, normal signs of wear for that. And the cutoff lever, also normal signs of wear. Everything looks good. It's a really nice gear train. Seems to be doing pretty good after the amount of shooting we've done with it so far. Like I said, no signs of wear. Looks good. The gearbox has a locking design. I don't know if you can see that. I got a groove set up with the raised portion right here. They lock into each other. It's really nice. Keeps it lined up. That's good. Alright. Cutoff lever, I mean the anti-reverse latch, also showing normal signs of wear, no chipping, breaking, anything like that. So that's good. This is after roughly 5,000 to 6,000 rounds. Actually, it's closer to 6,000. Looks good. Alright, so the cylinder is a standard ported cylinder, typical of an M4. It's got a nylon Looks like nylon cylinder head with a brass air nozzle tube. And tappet plate and air nozzle. Also look in good condition. Just your standard polycarb or nylon material. The spring guide is an all-metal spring guide. No bearing. That would be a nice thing to add to the gun if possible, but this won't break on you, so that'll hold up. Well, there's really not much else to look at here. The only thing I would really suggest besides the re-shimming is the contact slider stay. That would be the part right behind the slider here that actually contacts and completes the circuits. This little post right here. These have a tendency to break on most gearboxes. I would highly suggest putting a steel post in there to keep it from breaking, and you know, one or two manufacturers have already done that. It's a pretty easy fix if it does. All you do is get a drill, a 2mm tap, just shave that flat, drill a hole through, tap it with 2mm threads, and then put a 2mm steel screw in it, and you're pretty much done, unless you need to reshape it with a Dremel or something like that. And that'll usually hold pretty well, and just use some Loctite or super glue. Well, that's that. I'm going to go ahead and put this back together, and overall this is a really good gun, you know, especially for the price point. It's supposed to be anywhere from well, basically retail for $200 or less in its current form. It's been one of the better guns that I've looked at in that price range. From what I see here and from how it sounds, it actually sounds really good, and you know, hardly any wear. I don't see any signs of break except for the piston, but that's normal. This is definitely something I would carry in my shop. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get this back together and show you the bolt catch, and that'll conclude the review. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so putting it back together, one thing that came to mind was the screw holes are just molded into the plastic grip. One thing I'd like to see is little brass inserts instead of the regular screw holes there. That way it'd be less likely to strip out, and just to use a machine screw instead of the coarse thread screw that they normally use. So that would be a nice addition, make it look nicer, make it be a little bit more durable in the long run. Like I said, I mean, for $200 or less, you can't go wrong with purchasing this gun. I would say that it, you know, that's basically a mid-range price, but a lot of the features and the quality that I see in it puts it on almost on par with a high-end gun. So I'd say it's kind of a in between something like a King Arms Ultra Grade M4 and GNP or even VFC, just something in between. I wouldn't put it in, you know, the same quality class as a VFC, but it's definitely something that can be built upon, and be reliable. So I'll go ahead and get this back together. Some of the things that I did notice, for instance, was the poor finish on the barrel nut here. There is some rust on the barrel nut. and also inside of the body pins. You won't be able to see it in there, but there is. So a better finish on certain parts would be nice, but it doesn't take away from the functionality of the gun and how reliable it is. And also on certain parts, I would like to see, instead of a countersunk Phillips screw, maybe a cap head 3mm screw that uses a 2mm Allen wrench. For instance, on the buffer tube, this will stick out and possibly interfere with the operation of the stock, which it doesn't seem like it does, but it would actually add to the aesthetic value of it when the stock is off, and not give you any problems in the future. If it was just a cap head screw, that would be more flush with the bottom of the buffer tube. Alright, so I'll get this back together. And another note, since the buffer tube mount on the body is so long, it actually doesn't leave a lot of room for a buffer tube style battery. The shorter one would probably be fine, but anything longer will stick out the back. So with a crane stock or any other stock you want to put on, you wouldn't be able to even put the end cap on, but you would need it anyway. But with another stock that would have a cover on it, you wouldn't be able to collapse it all the way, just because it sticks out roughly 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So, you know, that might be a concern, but the shorter batteries, like from Tenergy, the 1000 milliamp hour, or the King Arms 1000 milliamp hour, they are shorter, so it will allow you to collapse the stock, I believe, the rest of the way. But as it is, it's running a crane stock shouldn't be an issue with the nunchuck battery, or if you wanted to use a short style buffer tube battery. And let's get this back on. Now where'd that screw go? Okay, so I got the gun back together, and just to show you one last feature, it's the functioning bolt catch. Pull back, opens up so you can adjust the hop up a lot easier, and then when you want to close it, just press the bolt catch and it's shut. So that pretty much concludes the review. Like I said, it's actually a really good gun for a very affordable price. It's definitely something I'd carry in my shop. Except for the concerns, you know, I'd really like to see, instead of the torque screws, the hex screws, and reshimming, and what else was there? Better finish on the rusted areas, but can't really ask for anything more for $200 or less. So thank you for allowing me to review this, and I look forward to being able to carry this. It's actually a very pleasant surprise. So thank you, and there you go.